It's time now for perspective. For most of us, myself included, scaling the world's tallest mountains is nothing but a pipe dream. It requires deft skill, in-depth knowledge of difficult terrain, and certainly a bit of fearlessness, as the smallest errors can lead to irreversible accidents. Well, as a high mountain guide from Chamonix, which he calls the capital of vertical hedonism, Tristan Knoertzer knows this all too well. He works for the Chamonix Guide Company and is the project manager for the festivities celebrating that company's 200th anniversary. I won't say any more because he joins me now on set for Perspective. Thank you for coming, Tristan.
Thank you.
The Chamonix Mountaineering Company, which from what I understand is the oldest in the world, concluded its 200-year anniversary celebrations today with an impressive closing event ending in Paris. Can you tell us more about that event?
Yeah, so we did a long ride from Chamonix with bicycles. We started 7 days ago, so we rode 700 kilometers by bicycles, and before that we climbed the Mont Blanc summit also without using any lifts. And the target of this ride was to come to Paris to bring our book, which talks about global warming effects about our mountain terrain and mountain activities, to the National Assembly. And just after this interview, we have an appointment with all the deputies of the mountains area of the French Assembly. So yeah, we are very excited to share with us our perspectives, our targets, and mostly the needs that we need to work together, to be very close each other, maintainers and politics at the same time, to go for the future of the mountains and the very good work of High Mountain Guide.
And Tristan, I understand that this document, Mountaineering Guides and Climate Change, A Story of Adaptation, talks about the ways that mountaineering guides have had to adapt to the effects of climate change. Can you talk about some of the effects that you've witnessed firsthand in your mountaineering and how you've been able to adapt to those?
Yeah, for sure. So in that book, you can find some strategies, some short and long-term strategies. And one of them is about the seasonality, because sadly, in summer, the temperatures are getting warmer and warmer every summer. So the mountain routes get drier, so more difficult and more dangerous. So one of the consequences is that we have to go in mountain in bad conditions. And the best philosophy of high mountainer is to go when the conditions are good. So the short strategy is firstly to be able, to go in high mountain maybe earlier in the season, for example, in May or June, and we need that all the process around will be okay. So for the lift have to be open, the refugees have to be open, and also the tourists have to know that if you want to make some nice mountain routes, you have to come earlier in the season. So this is one of the examples of good strategy.
And maybe to tail end off what you're saying about tourists and good strategy, I feel that mountain tourism is increasingly popular for adrenaline-seeking visitors. Is there a role for guides to play in making sure that mass tourism doesn't endanger the biodiversity in these areas and that there's not too much pollution, things like that?
Yeah, we have to educate, but mountain is the freedom part. So you don't have to say that it's forbidden to go in mountain for any reasons. So you have to go in high mountain with a good philosophy, and us as guides, we have to educate our clients, the next climbers generations, and we have to protect, but we don't have to forbid any area in high mountain, because it's maybe the last freedom place in the world that you can go with any rules, any restrictions, and we want to keep it.
Okay, and you talked about how you've delivered this booklet to the National Assembly, to French lawmakers. What concrete measures are you expecting them to take? How are you expecting them to act based on the information that's in the booklet?
So our expectation is that, for example, the politicals and the decision makers have voted, the Plan Montagne, and this is like economy and tourism strategy for tomorrow. And our book really wants to go inside that kind of general politic plan. So the very precision is that we want that the politics really close work with the guides for like crew for working about the future of high mountain, and we want to have a place in the process with them.
Okay, let's maybe turn now to a more general question. You talked about the solutions you expect them to adopt with respect to mountaineering. More generally, what, in your view, are the main solutions that both governments and individuals can adopt to slow the pace of climate change?
Education also generally, and also maybe moving to the mountains with different kind of transport for sure. We need to reduce our footprint, of course, and all the bad consequences that we have in the world. In mountains, it's like twice, because for example, just the temperature. If you have 2 degrees more in low altitude, you will have 4 degrees more in the perspective of 2100. So we really have to slow down our footprint, of course, and we have to educate the next climbers that maybe the goal is not to really go on one summit, but it's more to live an experience, a general experience in high mountain. If you reach the summit, that's good, but if you don't reach it, it doesn't matter. The goal is to go in high mountain and to live a crazy experience, even if you don't reach the summit, but maybe taking more time to go to the mountain, and when you are in the mountain, slow down.
Okay, and maybe let's turn to you personally now. I understand that the Chamonix Mountaineering Company is among the world's most prestigious, one of the oldest. For those of our viewers who have never done any mountain climbing at all, why is it so difficult to become a guide? And I also understand that you're particularly young to be a guide already.
Yeah, I was maybe one of the youngest guides in my promotion, but today I'm 32 years old. And as a young guide, for sure you have to push yourself to get to this certification. But you also need to learn a lot about the traditions and the older guides generation. They can teach us many, many things, but we also have, like the young generation, I think we have to push ourselves to protect this crazy desk, this crazy office, and all the philosophy around, because some people did it before us. So personally, it's very important for me to being able to go in high mountain with my clients, but also being able to go outside and to explaining why it's so important and why it's so important to go with people maybe who have never been to high mountain to understand what's going on up there.
What draws you most about high mountaineering?
Yeah, freedom, for sure, freedom. A total freedom and no rules.
And what do you think are some of the most impressive mountains that you've visited, some of your most impressive climbs?
Honestly, even a small mountain, it doesn't matter. The most important is with who you are living is at. The mountain is just, I don't know, it's not the most important. The most important is with who are you climbing on this mountain.
Do you think that there's a lot of diversity in the different climbs that you can do between, mountain climbing in the Alps or in the Rockies in the United States or even in some of the national parks? Are you able to see, is there a vast difference of the things that you see and are encountered with?
Yeah, all the mountains are different, but the soul is the same. The soul is to go in the mountain and to live a pure experience with yourself and with the mountain. But for sure, in France, just about France, we have a lot of diversity of mountain ranges. And for example, you can go in the Massif des Calanques in the south of France, and also going to Chamonix. And the two mountains are not at the same altitude, but the experience is always the same. It's just to push yourself into living a true experience.
Okay, and perhaps as one last quick question, is there anything next on the agenda in terms of big events for the Chamonix Mountaineering Company?
In December, we will close this anniversary with the General Assembly of all the Mountain Guides Corporation. So it will be in December, and it's time for speaking between guides and also to include our targets with, one more time, the political perspectives.
Well, I hope you guys will get the answers that you are looking for. Thank you so much, Tristan Knoertzer of the Chamonix Mountaineering Company for joining us today. It is about 8:45 in the morning now here in Paris. This is a reminder of our top headlines this hour. We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us. The harsh words of Joe Biden towards the tens of millions of unvaccinated Americans in his speech announcing sweeping new vaccine mandates. And France's former health minister Agnès Buzyn is summoned to appear before judges on Friday over her response to the early stages of the coronavirus pandemic.